Thanks for joining us. Where did your passion for football come? I think a lot of people come from. Where do you think? Because I think the people that know you, the people that you work with, I think a lot of people, can see that passion. But where did that passion for football come from?
It started out as a young age, growing up in South Mississippi. Obviously, I looked up to Brett Favre. That's always been my jersey number 4. He's been the guy I looked up, that had kind of the biggest influence on playing quarterback and really just setting the path for what I have going now. So I would say, my biggest influence coming up that pushed me towards my passion was Brett Favre. And I got involved in the Pee Wee football at 5 years old, and it was just I grew up with football in my hands, so it was a passion to start when I was a little kid.
I would assume like everyone's dad gets them into football. What was your dad's like impact on? Do you have any impact on you playing football or anything like that?
So my dad, I was a coach's son. My dad coached me since I was in Pee Wees all the way up to high school.
Then I saw your tape on. I think I put it on. I think I put in that first story. I don't know. I don't know how I came across it. I think someone had posted it. I don't know if it was from Twitter or from YouTube. I think it was like a short, like 3-minute clip. It said that you were the most underrated quarterback in the country. Like going and playing at the high school level, do you feel like you were underrated? Do you still carry that mentality if you do that?
I've always carried that chip on my shoulder. I mean, growing up, I was 5'10", 185 pounds in high school. I didn't have the measurables to be a Power 5 or SEC quarterback at 6'3", 6'4". Something had to make up for my size. So, developing a quick release, having an elite arm, I felt like, being short, my arm talent made up for it. So it was kind of a chip on my shoulder I carried all the way up, even out of high school and college. Even into this now, what I'm doing now, that chip kind of stayed on my shoulder because obviously you're going to come into contact with a kid that may have that similar story to what you went through. And you want to lead them and help them, guide them into the best situation you could possibly get them in and give them the best advice.
And then I saw you went the JUCO route. I think I saw an article. I was reading an article beforehand. Like you committed or whatever, however it is said, that you went to Pearl City. I think you were there for 4 days, and then you went to EMCC, and then that's where Bo Wallace comes into play, and I think he was the OC there, so it was a little bit after Last Chance U, but
It, it was crazy how it all played out. Obviously, I was grateful for what Pearl River gave me the opportunity for. They were going through a big coaching change, and the guy who had brought me in had left, and I was kind of stuck with another guy. So, but prior to Pearl River, man, it was kind of funny. I put a Facebook post when I was 11 years old. This is before East Mississippi became the Last Chance U show. This is when they had guys like Randall Mackey starting there, Bo Wallace, like the guys who first started that tradition. Now, I grew up watching those guys, and that's where I even said I can pull my Facebook post up when I was 11. I said I hope to be playing here in the future. So I knew if I didn't go to Division 1, I wanted to be at East Mississippi. That was where the place. That's where I wanted to be at because I knew I was going to get elite coaching. I knew I was going to be around elite players. I knew I was either going to come out an elite player or elite coach, either one, and it just happened to go this path now.
did playing with I feel like some players, like when they don't get like the recognition, or if they don't get like the offers that they expect to get, like they can lose a little bit of that competitive fire, you know what I mean? Did did playing with or playing for Bo kind of, or playing at East Mississippi, did that kind of reignite that fire? I'm not sure if you lost it or anything like that, but did you find something else, with them?
My chip on my shoulder always stayed there. After East Mississippi, being a backup, I carry that chip on in my deal what I'm doing right now. Because there's really talented guys out there who really slip through the cracks and just honestly don't get opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And then for those who don't know, could you tell me, you're wearing the shirt right now? Was it 601 elite quarterback? Could you just tell people a little bit about what it is?
601 is the area code for Jackson, Mississippi, in the south part of Mississippi as well. It's pretty much the area code for Mississippi. Obviously, you represent the state of Mississippi with the logo on your chest, but also, it has a deeper meaning too. Like a kid from Mississippi is different than anywhere else in the country. Obviously, we don't have the resources like California, Texas, or Florida has. So when you meet a Mississippi kid, he's a country kid who's 9 times out of 10, tough, has a work ethic that's going to outwork you, get it out the mud type mentality. So there's a deeper meaning behind than just Mississippi. It represents a group of kids who really don't have that many resources, but work their tails off and just get it out the mud every day.
Gritty. That's that's a one word I think you could use it. Gritty. Then I also was reading too, like you were coaching, obviously not at the level you are now, but you were helping some high schoolers, or you were coaching quarterbacks before you even.
My senior year of high school, when I was coming up my senior year, I had local kids in the community. There wasn't nothing like it is now, but it was kind of a gateway lead to what I'm doing now. I started taking in younger guys like that were coming up in Pee Wee football. When I would go to the field and get some work in with my receivers, I'd stay after and have those guys come in and work with them. And when I went to college, when I'd come home on Thursdays, if we didn't have a Saturday game, I'd sit there and work some of them younger guys out on the weekend just to help guide them. And it would carry over when I finished college. It was like, all right, I'm working a main job now. We could do something with this now. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take years of networking and just showing up to work every day and putting in the work. But it's a doable thing you can make happen.
Were you getting calls from like coaches, be like, could you help my QB out like for a day or two? Like, were you getting calls from local coaches as well?
Yeah, it was more. I would say it would have been more like the junior high to like Pee Wee kids. It really wasn't none of the high school kids or anything at that point. It was younger guys.
Yeah, and the 601 elite that's kind of more Mississippi, like you mentioned, but is the goal kind of just to stay in Mississippi and kind of make that Mississippi your stronghold and stay there, or is kind of the future goal to go to the more national scale? I mean, obviously it's you have the Twitter presence and everything, but
obviously you see on Twitter, I mean, Mississippi the goal, but I also got guys in Louisiana. I got a kid out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana that was in the Elite 11 this past year that had been working since his freshman year, named Ricky Collins. He was a 4-star, just commit to LSU. So I would say the goal, my main focus is Mississippi, but I want to bring national attention to Mississippi where I can pull guys in from pretty much anywhere in the country to come in here and train.
What's the furthest? I thought I saw an article as well. You're already working with kids that are 6 years down the road, class of 2028. Is that you? What's the number of kids you're working with right now?
I couldn't name you the number. It's just a lot of them. It's man, it ain't, even when we work, man, this ain't a once a week type deal. Like, this is Monday through Sunday. I don't have no social life outside. I'm staying on the road, man, going like literally each day is like, obviously we're in season now. I'm actually helping out with my old high school Monday through Wednesdays just to work with their guys to give back. But when it's off season time and football season ends, it's a Monday through Sunday type deal. Like, it's literally a different city every day. I'm traveling to work different guys out across Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama.
And then you also work with like a ton of great coaches too. The one that was eye popping to me is that I think Austin Davis, former NFL quarterback, just joined you guys. I don't know how recently that was, but what's it like working with him and your other coaches you work with?
Anytime it's just me and Austin right now. You got to be careful who you bring into the circle. Austin. The thing that stood out about Austin, was his intentions, man. This is a guy who's already been through the ranks, played NFL, had a heck of a college career, ended up being an NFL quarterback. Actually started a bunch of games, turned around as an NFL quarterback coach to coach Russell Wilson for the past 4 years. Anytime you can bring an NFL experienced guy in, it adds value to what you're doing. And Austin has a ton of experience, but he's like a kid like me or a guy like me. He wants to help change the culture here because he was one of those guys who was overlooked coming in. He was a walk-on at Southern Miss, so he had to prove his place. We had this conversation the other day, man. We would have killed to have, this going on in our state now. So me and his mentality is just alike, and I felt like, bringing them on, we're on the same page. Hey, we can make big things happen.
How did you come to coach or come like contact with him? Have you always known him?
So it's kind of funny. I actually was a young guy coming up watching him. And when I started, he came back. He's back home in Meridian now. And he had hit me up on Facebook and saw me that I was doing this big football camp at Southern Miss a few weeks back, bringing in all the top guys between 3 states. And he asked, "Man, I would love to come help." And you get a Southern Miss alumni that was one of the best to do it there. That wants to help. I mean, you bring him in, and it just went along where, hey, let's get this thing going. You know, he came. He was back in Meridian trained quarterbacks. He wanted to be a part of what I had going and help build that brand up. So I thought it was a huge ad to bring him on board.
You just recently, I mean, I guess it was last July that Big 40 showcase. How did that go? I mean, it was like the top 40. I'm probably misquoting it, but the top 40 quarterbacks in your program, or what was that like?
It was the Big 40. So what we did, a lot of time went into evaluating kids across Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama to bring these guys in. And, you know, your first camp like that, it gets stressful because you want to over deliver on everything you do. Like, you don't want to leave no doubt after any event you touch or even workout I do. You know, there's a lot of stress going into it, man, but, you know, the turnout we had was unbelievable. Man, anytime you could get like Rivals, 247, and those type of guys down to South Mississippi, that's huge. And those guys came out of Texas to come cover our event, and man, they did a wonderful job. And you know, it was a big deal because South Mississippi, or even Mississippi period, we don't have that network in there. And we also had, you know, it wasn't just the high school kids there that were really good. We also, Mississippi's a very big junior college culture. So we added those guys to the mix, getting them involved.
When you're coaching like those young players, like I'm sure you learned a lot from Bo when you were at East Mississippi. You've learned your own stuff. Austin has his own stuff. Just what do you is it kind of the same things you and Austin are teaching them, or what do you, is there certain stuff you focus on when it comes to the quarterback position? Like, what is you have a speciality, you know, that you're passing on to these players?
You know, I would say for the most part, everybody's on the same page teaching stuff. You know, it don't matter if you go to you playing for Bo Wallace or Austin Davis. Austin Davis might have a different style on his drops that he wants to do compared to Bo. You know, the one thing about the quarterback position, there's really no wrong answer to footwork, drops. You know, everybody has a different taste in what they like their players to do.
I know. I think we talked about it a little. You mentioned it a little bit before, but like when you and Austin were coming up, you guys, you know, you wished you had something like this. Just what do you think the most significant thing is about 601? Is it the opportunity that you like? You know, you just mentioned like your LSU just got the 4-star recruit, just went to LSU. Or is it kind of learning the new techniques that, you know, that they probably wouldn't have learned if they didn't have your type of program? Just what do you think the most significant thing of your program is? Is it the learning of it, or is it the, you know, the opportunities that, you know, that they get at
You know, I would say the number one thing that sticks out about the program is the quality of work being provided. At the end of the day, the work just got to speak for itself. Like, if you're not sharp for what you do, if you're not passionate, if you're not providing elite detail into what you're doing, you know, nobody's going to want to work with you. So I feel like, all right, goal number one, let's be professional, let's be elite as we possibly can with our work. Number two, let's also get involved with the exposure part. You know, Florida, Texas, California, they've all created their own narratives. Like, you got guys there that can point at a cat and say, him. And he's already plugged into where people are helping him now. So we want to create that narrative in Mississippi, Louisiana, and parts of Alabama where, hey, we get this thing going, everybody on the same page. You know, I wouldn't say overhype our players, because at the end of the day, I'm never going to overhype somebody. I'm going to keep it real on what they can do. But everybody on the same page, helping these kids together get to where they need to go.
What's a normal day look like for you? Like, what's it like? You're waking up at like 4 a.m. and, you know, you're looking at you got your charted out for the day, or you're working with this athlete. What's a normal day look like for you?
So a normal day is like Mondays. You know, Mondays are usually my day on the coast. So like towns like Ocean Springs, Biloxi, Gulfport. We'll host a session at Ocean Springs. Boom. work there pretty much all day. Tuesdays, we'll go to like Hattiesburg, the Hattiesburg area, pull kids in from like Oak Grove, Petal, Hattiesburg, JDC. They'll meet up. Then Wednesday, you'll make the trip 2.5 hours to dang Natchez, pull all the kids in from the southwest part close to the Mississippi River, like Natchez, Adams County Christian, just those little small town schools in that area. And Thursdays will be Jackson, another 2.5 ride hitch, 2 hour ride, getting all the kids up there involved working. Fridays, rotates between Baton Rouge and like Alabama. So
Who the heck's paying for all the gas?
It's so the way I do it. So like, obviously, I'll like have my fee for like the one. I like doing one work the best. Like I just feel like kids get more out of one-on-one work. But if it's a group, usually you want to be real with the groups because you want to have kids like on the same elite level or talent level where they're competing against each other, pushing each other. So the way I do it, like my one-on-one sessions, like I'll charge a fee. Now I'll just charge my gas, whatever it takes to get me there.
Besides working with Austin and Bo, is there another like coach or person you kind of you look back on and you're thankful for what they taught you or thankful for the opportunity that they gave you?
I would say, Bo probably had the biggest impact on me. Bo's been like a brother to me. Even when I went through trials and tribulations coming along, he was one of the guys that was always in my corner. I'm forever grateful for him. But he taught me so much in the game, like so much that I never knew coming up that made so much sense and made it easier on a quarterback. So I would say, man, like I said, Bo's my guy, man. I think he's going to be one of the best young coaches coming up through the ranks here soon.
I just got two more questions for you. They're both like coaching related questions, but let's say I don't know. I'm just gonna throw a hypothetical. Let's say like a school down in Texas. I know that's kind of away from the Mississippi, Louisiana area, but I'm just throwing Texas out there for a hypothetical. Let's say they need a quarterback coach, they need an OC, they need a new head coach. Just are you probably giving that thought? I'm gonna leave 601. The thing you've built up like that, you've built up, which is pretty high right now to a great level right now. Are you giving any thought to that, or are you gonna pass on that and continue to build 601?
The only thought I would ever have when leaving, what it would build, I went through a lot to get it to where it's at now. Put a lot of time and work into it and countless hours. I would say no to like a high school JUCO. I think the only way they would be able to pull me away from it is probably a Power 5 deal, like a Florida State, Alabama. I love Florida State. I love their coaching staff. Norvell, I think Norvell is awesome. I think Tony Tokarz, their quarterback coach, is really, really solid. That's guys, I've had the opportunity the past year to kind of sit around, pick their brain, and kind of sit back and watch.
You could always form a big three, you, Bo, and Austin, big three. And I guess that's the thing in the NBA now is the big three. You guys could form the big three coaching.
I told if Bo ever gets out of coaching college, I told him, I said, "You gonna come? You come? We're gonna run it." But I don't. Bo's gonna work his way up here, and he'll be in a Power 5 rank here soon. He's smart. He's knowledgeable of the game.
If for future kids or athletes out there, future quarterbacks, just what is like one piece of advice that that could be bulletin board material for them, so to speak, that they could hang on their locker or hang, next to their bed, and they wake up every day and that's the thing that motivates them every day? Just what's one thing you think you'd tell them?
You gotta have a purpose for what you do, and you gotta have a drive. You gotta have a why. If you don't have a why for what you do, you're wasting your time. So there's gotta be something down there that's deep inside of you that's driving you to do what you do. I wake up every day when I hit a football field. I have a why for what I do. Like it's bigger. I'm telling you, that shit we talked about earlier, that shit's still on my shoulder. But I want to see now a kid coming up do it, do the thing. So I always say have a why and a purpose. Always come ready to work and outwork everybody. That's the biggest thing as well.
What is your why?
My why, when I was, man, like I said, when I was coming up, man, I just felt like I was one of the overlooked guys. You know, I had limited resources around me. I didn't really know, you know, the game or how it's played out as far as, you know, recruiting and that deal. And I just felt like if I would have had like that person in my corner just leading me the right way, you know, things would have been different. So now it's time to be that person you didn't have growing up for these kids.
Well, yeah, that's all I had for you, Wyatt. So, all right, man, I appreciate your time. I know you're very busy.
You man. No, man, you're good.
Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out our other videos and don't forget to smack that subscribe button down below while you're at it. Also, for more great and original content, head right over to bvmsports.com.